Okay, I got a little time to do work on my car a little bit. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and fiberglass this hole over. So I'm gonna take this antenna out since my stereo doesn't use an antenna. That way it'd be nice and clean. Look, straight flat through there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this apart, and then I'm gonna go underneath, look at what I have to do there. There's a metal plate that's through the back here. So I need to figure out how I'm gonna fiberglass that underneath there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna square off with some masking tape, sanded it down around it, and then lay the fiberglass down. And then from there, I'll have to put some fiberglass underneath too also, that way I get a nice strong hold. And then we'll just sand it down and paint a little patch. I know there's the paint's not going to match, as you'll be able to see. I mean, I can, that's kind of a flat, from shiny to flat, so we'll have a little spot there. But eventually this all has to be repainted anyways. You can see, this paint has cracks as the paint's in the crack, or cracks in the paint, so it'll all have to be redone and repainted eventually anyway. So like I said, I'm not too worried about it. You can see it cracking a little bit there, a little bit there. It's not gonna matter. So all right, we're gonna tear that apart and see what we have to do. All right, this is what the plate looks like, and it has a little ground strap that goes to the frame. So now that's out of there, now it's just bare fiberglass. So you can see just that little hole that needs to be filled in. So I'm gonna take a little bit of sandpaper, clean out the inside right there, and a little bit along the outside of here, and then from there then I'll mask off, and then we'll get fiberglass and flat fiberglass that hole over. Getting the underside's gonna not be fun at all, but because it's a little hard to reach. So what I think I'm gonna do is I think I'm going to make a fiberglass piece that's that size, and then let that dry, then hold it up in there, put a little bit of fiberglass on the bottom, and then that way there's clear flow, and then go one on top. So I think that's the way I'm gonna go. I'll find out when I get more going to it. So okay, so I'm gonna tape it off before I get sanded too much, and then that'll be my little area. So that gives me about a 1/2 inch on each side. And what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put, when I get ready to actually fiberglass it in, I'll put some tape at the bottom there just to hold it in, for I could do the top first. Then I'll go from underneath and do a little bit of the rest of the fiberglassing there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sand this down, and then do the inside here, put some tape at the bottom to hold the the fiberglass filling and stuff like that, and then put a little sheet over, and then from there I should have a good adhesive to it for the fiberglass, and then do a strand or two at the bottom. I think that'll be the less messy way too. So but let me finish sanding down this little area first. Okay, so as you can see, this has multiple paint jobs on it. You can see the original primer, that brown ring right there. So there's a little brown ring, and then it looks like another coat of primer, and then paint, and someone just went over with Bondo or actually primer, it looks like another primer, and then did the black paint on top of it. So you can see these marks right here. This is the actual fiberglass. So I'm trying to get it down as far as I can for fiberglass to fiberglass. So kind of crazy, huh? So just wanted to show you that. So we're gonna sand it a little bit more, especially down in this area. Clean it up and see what more we have to do. So here we are. Okay, that's all wiped down. I think I'm gonna go ahead and fiberglass that up. I should probably take it out a little bit more, but this has a pretty good indent right there. Yeah, that's a lot of paint stuff built up. Of course, that last one's a little Bondo, but kind of funny. So anyway, I think we'll be okay with that. If I stay within that range, I'm gonna tape this off again, for I don't make a big mess and get it all over my car everywhere else. So we'll do that. All right, here's the next setup. I put tape underneath, that way it's sticking up and none of that you know, stuff will ooze through. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these to size. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little dab, put some inside in the middle. So like, you know, cut a round piece, put it in there, and just keep applying until I get somewhat flush. And then we'll let it sit, and then take the tape off and see what mess we made. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do first. Is I'm going to cut pieces. Okay, I've put in a bunch of tiny pieces inside to fill up the hole and overlap every once in a while on the side there. So now I'm going to do bigger pieces over the top of it. I think I'm going to do one or two smaller pieces. Still not quite level, so I want a few more pieces in there to make it nice and sturdy, and then we'll put bigger pieces over the top. Okay, so that should fill in really nice. So once that sets, I'll let that sit for a couple hours or an hour. But it'll harden up faster than that, but yeah, but we'll let that sit, and I think we'll be able to sand it down. So I went up just a hair higher than what the paint is, because that way when I start sanding it back down, you know, it'll bind to the actual fiberglass, and then when I sand it back down, it'll go back down a little bit. And then if I go down too far, then you can always run a little skiff of Bondo or whatever. So we'll let that sit up, or set up, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, we'll let it dry because I don't want to pull the bottom out or anything yet, and go from there. And all you do is you just take your brush, put the epoxy on first, then just put a sheet on, put more epoxy, put another sheet on, epoxy, another sheet, epoxy, another sheet. You know, that's all you really do. And for the hole, like I said, I started small and I kind of went, you know, different sizes, going every which way to kind of get a different pattern. And then as I built up, then I went that way and then that way, for, you know, for those fibers are going to be nice and strong. And then we'll see what the bottom looks like. I don't know if I'll be able to get the camera up in there, but we'll see what the bottom looks like when all said and done too. Alright, thanks guys. While we wait for that epoxy fiberglass to dry, just kind of give you an idea of what the front fenders will look like once they're glassed in. Come out quite a bit. Let's see if we can get underneath here to show. So it comes out quite a bit. Of course, that's just sitting on there. It's not exact, but that'll make the car look a lot more mean. Make it look a lot more nicer, and I can put a bigger tire in the front too. So there's kind of what that looks like. compared to what I have. So, huge difference. Yep. So that'll probably be coming up next. I don't know if I'm going to tackle it or have somebody else do it. I'm going to have to look at it a lot closer before I even think of trying to do it. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Closer though. It'll make the car look a whole lot different. So I took off the tape just because I didn't want any of the epoxy sticking to the end of the tape. So we're just letting that dry still. So, okay, well, we'll come back when it's all completely dry. All right, hard as a rock. So I think I'm still gonna let it sit a little bit longer before I start sanding. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put another some tape around it. That way when I sand, you know, I'm not going to get all this other stuff scuffed up. I'll put a couple of layers of tape down that way. That'll do pretty good. And I think, because it feels, I definitely go higher, so I think I'll be okay. So I'm going to pull the bottom and we'll take a look at that. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a light shining through it. But it is pretty flush. I'm going to put a few strands of the fiberglass over it. That way I got extra support down here. So it's still a little tacky on the bottom side, so I think I'm gonna let it sit a little bit longer, but I'm gonna do a few strands on the bottom. That way I got a nice strong bond to the body. So all I need like a couple of strips, and then I can sand it down on the bottom side. So yeah, but tape worked perfectly. This green tape, or even blue tape probably, the epoxy doesn't stick to it. The sticky side anyway. So like when you're doing, like if I was making my speaker box, I'd put all that tape down in there and like a plastic sheath or something, and then, you know, that'd protect you from the epoxy sticking, you know, and it creates the form. All right, so I'm gonna go underneath and put a few strands, and hopefully by then I should be able to start sanding down. So, because I'm not gonna worry about the bottom until the very last. All right. Okay, so we're getting pretty flat right there. We're a little high still, right there in the center. As you can see that fiberglass sticking up. So, and we're a little low right through there. And then this, because it bends up, I can't get flat with the block. So I'm just wrapping it around my finger and just going really, really light until I get that, you know, to match that groove there. So I have to be careful through there, because most of the time you want to be really, really flat. So I'm just being real careful through there. And then I'm going to flatten it out a little bit more right through here, and maybe put just a dab more adhesive or Bondo or whatever. But I'm going to smooth it down to where it's real nice and smooth first, to see where there's any high spots. But I can feel it high right through here, so I still need to sand it down right through there. So alright, just kind of showing you what I'm doing. Now this is just the initial sand. It's looking pretty good except for right there. And we're really close, but I'm gonna take that down with a finer grit. So let's go ahead and clean it up and see what it looks like. Get some of that dust and dirt off there, so I can feel it better. Oh yeah. So I just got to get a little bit softer or higher grit sandpaper. I think I could finish that off, and then maybe just scuff it off with a little bit of Bondo on top. Now that we cleaned it, still a little, just a little high right there. This feels okay, just bumpy. So I'm going to go ahead and just get some finer sandpaper and finish it off. And then we'll check it again and see what we have to do there. So if anything, just a slight skiff of Bondo. Alright, on to the next one. Okay, I hit it with 1,500. It is really smooth. These look like they're bumpy, but it's just the way the sanding's coming out. So that's pretty smooth. I'm going to go ahead and do it with 1,000 grit. And then after 1,000, I'm going to go ahead and jump up to about 2,000, 2,500. And then after that, I'll prime it, let it sit, and then see if there's any imperfections and go from there. All right. Okay, not too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. There's a little low spot right in there, but I'm not going to worry about it. When this gets all redone and repainted, that'll be fixed. So yeah, just a tiny little bit of low spot right in there, but other than that, the rest is pretty flat. So I'm going to put more tape and go ahead and primer it. I'm going to put some stuff around for I don't get overspray. So then we'll see what it looks like after that. Okay, looking pretty decent. I can still see a few little bumps and stuff, but I'll take care of that when I'm going to sand it down, fine grit 1 or 2 more times, and get this on there. So this is actually flat black primer, and that'll help when I do the gloss black. So what I'll do is I'll do this flat black, and then I'm going to do a let that dry completely, widen this out a little bit, you know, sand it down a little bit to where it's all nice and smooth, and then I'm going to take a flat black or a gloss black, you know, extend it out a little bit, gloss black, and do a gloss black over it. Okay, so we're gonna let that sit. I'm done for today. So it's gonna be gloss black. It looks like a patch right now. So I'm gonna let it sit for a couple of days, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back, and of course I'm gonna make my space bigger, and then I'm gonna sand down 3,000 grit and get it nice and even more flush, and then I'm gonna spray paint it gloss black, you know, in that section. Then after the gloss black, I'll let it sit for a couple more days, and then do a just a gloss top coat over it to see if I can blend it in even better. But this paint right here, or the gloss, is gonna match this color here. I don't know if you can tell the difference. It's dirty from all the dust, but get this towel. So see, it's a little more flat if you get it at certain angles, but it'll be close enough. So we'll just let that patch sit and do its thing. But I think we'll be able to get it here in a day or two. So all right, got it all sanded down nice and smooth. So now I'm going to put a coat of gloss black on it. It's not perfect. I have a little bit of an indent right there, but like I said, this is all going to be repainted, and hopefully within 5 years anyway. So I'm just gonna like I said, patch it up, and then when we actually go to do the body work, then we'll worry about it. Get a little bit closer, but like you can see, see, I got chips and, you know, just dings everywhere. So, and I got like this one always bugs me right here. It's a little, it's like a bubbling up. It's not a chip, it's bubbling up in those two spots. So of course that's a chip. That's just dirty. But oh, right here. So like I said, this car is definitely a 10-footer anyway, and I will be putting on the front fenders, make them a little bit wider. So once I get that done, then I'll have it all repainted. So no big deal. So like I said, we're just doing a quick patch up right now. We're not going for perfection, just close enough. It looks rough with that paint, but actually it's pretty smooth. It has a little bit of an indent right in there, but I'm not gonna worry about it. It'll look just fine. So, and then when I first got the car, this whole gas panel was just, it was chipped and cracked and everything. So I just took it and resanded it, just give it a quick repaint. You can kind of see the cracks, you know, all around it. So the paint chip. So see, it's not, I'm not worried about perfection. When I actually get down to painting it, then we'll worry about it. So, but till then, this will work, and it'll look real clean without that antenna. All right. Okay, so here's our gloss. You kind of still see the patch, the square part of it, but overall it'll cover just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few coats, and then what I'm going to do after this dries a day or two. It'll only take about a day because of the heat here is pretty high. So so then after that, you know, I'll sand it down another 3,000, get it nice and smooth with the body, and I might have to put one more gloss coat after that. We'll see. And then I'll just do a clear coat over the top of that, and then I'll wet sand it down to match as close as I can get. Okay, not looking too bad. So now I'm just going to wet sand it down and blend it in. You can still see some of the little bumps and stuff, but so we're going to wet sand. I'm going to try to do a 2,000 first. I'm just going to dip it in the water, sand, and go that way until we get a nice smooth finish. Alright, so it is a different color. Like I said, that's as smooth as I'm going to get it. You can kind of still see the outline, but that's just because the black's a different color. So that's overall pretty smooth. I do have one little indent just right in there, but like I said, I'm not going to care right now. So that's my next step there. Now I'm just going to take some rubbing compound and see if we can buff out this area and that. So let's get the rubbing compound and go from there. Alright, so I'm going to leave it like that. You can still kind of see where it's, you know, the different color of paint. So, but not too bad. But what I might do is, if it doesn't cost too much, there's a paint place right next door to me. Maybe I can take it in and just go, hey, can you color match this? And that way it gets a little bit better, you know, color matched, but it's not too bad. So I'm just gonna leave it like that until I can figure out these front fenders. I don't know if I want to tackle them right now or not. I mean, I want to, but I don't know if I want to, like I said, put in the work or pay somebody to do it. So I'll have to fish around and see, you know, if I can find somebody, and if they're decent price, then I'll have them do it. Because this is a big section that's just, you know, I can do it, but do I want to? You know, it's one of those things. So we'll see. So that'll be for in a future video, but so far I think it looks a lot better without the antenna. Looks a lot more just clean. So yeah, I think that's a lot better. All right, well, I'm done for the day. So there's a update. And so I still need to polish it a little bit more though. I need to get some different, I need some cutting compound. So I need to get cutting compound first, but for right now, it's just fine. So like I said, we need to do other things first. So okay, thanks guys.